Good afternoon. Thank you very much for including me in this program. In fact, I can't help feeling a little bit of trepidation with all the speakers that who have spoken before me. But I will do my best to share what I feel I have gained through this topic, forming of habits and finding that as a gateway to your life satisfaction. It was exactly 70 months ago, on 24th August 2017, that I put on my running shoes and went for a short 3-kilometer run. Next day, I went for a run again, and again, and again. And today, I completed 2,131 days of running daily. It's incredible. I find it incredible that any person, if I could do it, I'm sure you can do it. It's incredible what I realized and learned over these 2,131 days. And in the next few minutes that we have, it would be my honor and privilege to share with you a few takeaways from what I learned about myself, about habits, about life in general, about achieving your goals, about everything else that you want to aspire to be. So while I have been running more than 10 years, it was only about 6 years ago that I decided to take up this run streak. What led me to it? I had run a few 10Ks, a few half marathons. But then every time I wanted to do a longer distance, there was this hesitation within me. There was a lack of confidence. It was this lack of confidence which I felt was stopping me from achieving what I knew was possible within me. So to build on that confidence, I took on this challenge of just 92 days to run every day without missing a single day in between. And a run streak is actually defined as, it's called a run streak if you're able to run 1 mile, which is about 1.6 kilometers. So it seemed not too great a deal because, I could run maybe, 8 minutes or 1 kilometer. So what I did was I doubled that distance. I said I rounded off to 3 kilometers. Every day I would run 3 kilometers and it would take me about 20 minutes. So I said, this seems a doable thing. But the moment I set up that goal, believe it or not, my mind came up with incredible number of excuses or, saying this is a dumb idea. Why do you come up with such things? And, what if you, trip over and then hurt yourself? What if you're ill? What if you're traveling? There's so many excuses come up, right? Every time you want to accomplish something, there's something else in your mind which tells you, you can't do that. What do you think of yourself? So these are all the thoughts which were going on in my mind as well. But I, stuck to my decision. And with the Almighty's grace, I was able to complete the 92 days. And that gave me enough confidence. And then since I had already invested so much of time in it, it seemed but natural to continue, going ahead with this habit that I've built on. So here I am in front of you just as an example of what habits can do to you in your personal life. It's another interesting thing what I learned through running daily, that the benefits of running, it's not just physical. Yes, I have not really fallen ill in the last 5 to 6 years, excepting when I've gone for very long runs and then the next day might be a little difficult to run. You might hobble a bit. But then what I realized is that the benefits of running were not just restricted to my physical well-being, but they also translated into my mental well-being, fortitude, perseverance, grit. These are all the things I began to pick up along the way thanks to this habit I built for myself. Now, in the next few minutes, like I said, I will share with you 5 takeaways, what I've gathered from running 2,131 days. But before I start doing that, I want all of you to take up, bring to mind what is it that you would like to develop as a habit in your own life, which will further your own goals in life, your own life satisfaction. Each of us might have a perception of what is my calling. Some of you might want to be a speaker, some of you a writer, some a chef, some a pilot. Whatever it is, it would help having that habit or having that aspiration and goal in front of you while I walk you through the 5 takeaways. I hope you're all ready now. So now, it may or may not involve any aspect of physical fitness. I'm not gunning for anybody to do what I'm doing, but I would love all of you, to incorporate some bit of physical activity. Physical movement is essential to human life. So that is something I would definitely encourage all of you to have right at the beginning. So here are the first of the ideas. Start small, think big. Like I mentioned to you at the beginning or earlier in my talk, a run streak is defined if you run a minimum of 1 mile. So that was a very small goal I had set for myself. But I had this thing of thinking big. This was something which I wanted to do or be able to do my entire life. So while I was starting small, I also had larger aspirations of being able to continue with it for a long time to come. So as I eased into the street, as I started running daily, what I realized was that I got stronger. So I could run longer. So half marathons gave way to full marathons, which are a 42.2 kilometer distance. Full marathons then gave way to longer distances, ultra marathons, which are any distance above 42.5. Typically, my first ultra was around 50 kilometers. So whatever it is that you want to take up forming into a habit, here's my takeaway for you, is break that habit into the smallest activities that you can do every day and which you would not resist doing. You want to read 100 books a day? 100 books in a year? Start with reading 1 paragraph in a day. But make that consistent. Keep showing up every day. Number 2, and let me go back to this because I think this is a very important tree. We've all spoken about, Chandrasekhar sir has spoken about the diversity in plants. This is something we can all derive inspiration from. These are the redwood trees which grow in the US. Look at the seeds which are within the palm of one's hand. So many of them. But each seed has the potential to grow into such a massive, colossal tree which not even 100 people can encompass. So this is the brilliance behind the thought of starting small but thinking big. The next takeaway, idea number 2, make it your identity. When it was part of my run streak in just the 90 days itself and a little afterwards, I used to feel this, that it was like a burden, that a cross that I had to carry. Nobody was paying me to run every day. Nobody was forcing me to run every day. I was doing it on my own volition. Now, there were times when you don't really feel like getting up in the morning and putting on your running shoes and run. But then, many things in life also, you don't feel like doing, right? You're given to a lot of emotions which come in the way of you accomplishing your dreams. What I realized is if you develop the identity, what you want to accomplish, that is what gives you an access to reaching your goals and aspirations. Let me explain. So, I came across this thought that until I stop feeling motivated every day to get up and run, but I identify myself as a runner, I automatically get up and run. If you want to be practicing your musical instrument, be it a piano or be it a violin or a guitar, imagine if your parents or your music teacher has to push you, goad you to practice every day. Visualize the thought process in your own mind, the amount of resistance you feel. But on the other side, if you identify yourself as a musician and you look at the instrument as a way to express yourself, that's when the magic starts to happen. That is when habits become truly habits. It's part of your own self. So, this is what I encourage you all to do. Accept yourself for who you are, accept yourself for what you want to be, and persevere and show up continuously on a daily basis. Idea number 3, find your tribe. This is in a way related to the previous thought or idea of finding your identity. Once you start resonating at a certain frequency, you will automatically attract people who are also vibrating in the same frequency. I am standing here because I am incredibly thankful, grateful to a lot of people who have helped me in my own running journey. Believe it or not, like the introducer mentioned, I work in a hospital. My first tribe member happens to be a patient of the hospital. It's so funny. You would imagine that patients, when they're sick, they come to visit the hospital. This particular patient, he was actually a marathon runner himself. And after running 6 full marathons, he was diagnosed with having a hole in the heart. And he had come to the hospital and he had to undergo a minor surgery. He underwent the surgery and he's back to running. He's in fact completed the Comrades Marathon, which is a 90-kilometer marathon just last weekend. So Naresh is the one who had actually inspired me to take up running longer than the half marathon that I did. So this is how people you find your tribe. There were other people whom I found along the way who had helped me to connect with the deeper sides of running. And as we go along, perhaps I will share with you the outcomes of those associations. Idea number 4 is to reframe. In the morning, we also had one of the previous speakers expose us to what it is that you can do even if you don't have hands, right? Now, this is something also, again, it's like a burden that you feel that, I have to do something. But along the way, I discovered that it is how you reframe the challenges you come in your journey, which will decide which way you go. So I came across this thought that instead of thinking that I have to run every day, how about I transform it and say, I get to run every day? Isn't it beautiful that all of us, not all of us, but at least I am gifted to be able-bodied, to have 2 legs, 2 hands, and I've been given this gift of being able to run long distances. I want to talk a little about the foot and mouth painters. They have been such an inspiration to me. And this is Jackie. She holds the world record for running 103 full marathons on 103 consecutive days. And she had lost one of her legs to cancer. And believe it or not, she discovered running only after she lost her leg to cancer. So these people have helped me reframe my own thoughts about what is difficult and what is possible. Next takeaway, connect to a larger purpose. As a procurement manager, I am responsible for a lot of equipment coming into the hospital. Equipment which have to deal with, treating the ailing. But about 3 years ago, I discovered the amount of waste which gets generated, not just within the hospital, but everywhere in our society itself. We seem to be generating so much of waste. So there began my journey on a totally different line altogether. It has kind of become a passion now. But I could find an opportunity through running to connect to that purpose. So if people are not familiar with this word plogging, this refers to the practice of running and picking up litter when you run. So this had its origins in Sweden, but it is, of course, we always do some cleanup activities, but this is something which really caught on, and I think the Prime Minister had also made it popular during his beach cleanups in Chennai a few years back. So this had, something which had connected with me, and what I took up was a run from Bangalore, from the hospital which is next door, Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, to the sister hospital, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, Prashantigram, which is in a place 155 kilometers away. And this, a runner friend Jay and I, another of my tribe members, Jay and I decided that we will run from Bangalore to Puttaparthi, picking up litter. Now, if I hadn't done the run streak or I hadn't picked up this habit, built this habit over years, I would not have even imagined that it were possible. But again, thanks to God's grace and and our fortitude, we were able to complete this distance in a span of 27 hours. We were running continuously without any breaks. So this is what is possible. If you stick to your habits and connect them with a larger purpose. And this is a thought which I'm sure you would have all read since it's been in the screen for long. But thinking of myself as belonging to the whole community and reframing that what I am doing, it is a privilege. It is when that you can actually accomplish more, and what you think is your potential, you will surprise yourself. A word about Terry Fox. He's again an amputee runner. It's incredible. You really have to learn. You really have to read up, watch him on YouTube. There's so many videos about Terry Fox, who, as an 18-year-old boy, was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. It spreads very fast. He's from Canada, and being in a cancer treatment facility, he was exposed to children half his age who were going through the same, chemotherapy and things. He took upon himself, because he came to know that his funds towards allocated to cancer research was so limited that he took upon himself to run across Canada with the intention of raising funds for cancer research. It's incredibly sad, but it's incredibly powerful that he could only manage to run half the distance, which was almost 3,500 kilometers. One marathon a day, every day. And these legs, in those days, this was in the 1980s and early 90s, they were not even prostheses made for running. So incredible is the task that he had achieved, that he has been made a national hero of Canada. And in his honor, there are runs which are conducted every year by the Terry Fox Foundation, raising funds for cancer research. This is the higher purpose, which if you have your life aspirations and what is needed in the world, if they both meet, I think all our lives are, become fulfilled. The last idea is about celebrating success. B.J. Fogg is a Stanford professor. He's again very popular for his habit-forming methodology called Tiny Habits. One of the key aspects in his methodology is that he encourages, he says, if you want to really hardwire a habit into your life, you should break it down into something very small, do it every day, and then celebrate every time you do that. So every time you form, you are in the process of forming a habit, pat yourself in the back, give a high five, or say yes. Celebrate success. And this, you will find, is the way you can integrate those habits into your life and have them lead you to places where you would never have gone before. Now, how do runners celebrate success? When I turned 42, which happens to be the marathon distance, I said I will celebrate by running my age in kilometers. So it was about 3 years ago that I took upon this streak of running my age in kilometers. So every time in June, I run whatever my age is. So this last weekend, in fact, I happened to run 45 kilometers in a single day. Lastly, I would like to leave you with this thought. Before I started with the takeaways, I suggested that all of you have one habit or one life aspiration, what you would want to accomplish in your life. Have that at the back of your mind. At the end of my talk, I will bring you back to that point. What is it that you want to accomplish in your life? It is said that all of us are an average of the 5 people you spend your time with. Now, what I encourage you to think about, what are the 5 habits that you wish to cultivate during the time that you're studying, you're here as a student of the school. As students with a long academic career ahead of you, I invite you all to identify yourself as lifelong learners and work towards your physical and mental and social fitness. We are indeed capable of more than what we think ourselves. Thank you very much.